Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren. Frank, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you, young man?
I'm very good. You're the only person who calls me young man now. That's a reason to interview
You're
you.
young. Everybody's younger than me. That's why I call you young man.
Except your mate Bob.
Yeah, well, he's the only person I know who's older than me.
Yeah, you got to get him over more often, make you feel young again.
Yeah, I know. Well, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, especially when we're running for the bus together.
You haven't run for a bus in years. You haven't caught a bus in years. You haven't needed to.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Got a big show at Wembley this weekend, European title defence for David Avanesian. Now,
yeah.
I hate to start on a slightly sour note, but the card has drawn a bit of criticism across social media, it's fair to say. So I want to give you the opportunity to tell everyone out there why they should watch the card on Saturday. Why is it so good?
It's a good show. I mean, I don't know how can anybody criticise. You know, got Hamza's on there, who's by the way just signed a new deal with us, a new long-term deal with us. He's on there. He's in a good fight, and he was in a good fight last time out, so he's on there. David Avanesian is he's a quality operator. He's he's got a guy. He's in with an undefeated guy from Finland, and you know, I know that's probably where some of the criticism comes from, but the rest of the card as well is there's some good fights on there, some good fighters on there. You know, I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, you know, Hamza Shiraz's fight with Jez Smith, that's a decent little fight. What's wrong with that? Chamberlain and Jeff Offrey, that's a good fight. Sam Noakes in with the guy from Italy, Sonero, that's nothing wrong with that. Finiello, what his name is.
So you alluded to there that maybe it was the opponent for Avanesian that's drawn the criticism. What do you make of that?
I hear that. I understand what's being said, but the guy's, you know, he's in. That's all we can get at the moment for him. That's what we've got, and that's the fight. What it is. I'm not going to be an apologist about it. He's a good fighter. We've tried to make some bigger fights for him. He's supposed to have fought Ortiz, but that Ortiz decided to go on to fight somebody else. We made a big try to make the fight with Conor Benn. I mean, and we're pushing the WBC now, and we've been waiting for them to come back to decide what they're doing with it, you know, with regards to some elimination bouts. So in the meantime, I've got to keep the man busy. He's been out for a while now, so you know he'll make an appearance, and you know I'm okay with that fight. I'm okay with that fight. He's a favourite going into him, but there are some really good fights on that bill. There's some good stuff. Young Dennis McCann is on there. He's got a decent fight against Charles Tondo. They're decent fights for our guys. I've got no problem with that. And we've got Royston Barney-Smith making his debut.
Yes, now a lot of people are very excited about him.
Yeah, everybody's excited about him, so I'm looking forward to his debut.
Something else people have raised regarding Avanesian, obviously with the situation currently in Ukraine, he has kind of mixed heritage, Armenian and Russian. There's been calls for Russian fighters to be kind of denied opportunities in the wake of what's going on. Most famously, Dmitry Bivol, who's supposed to be fighting Canelo in May. Don't worry about Avanesian specifically, but what do you think of that whole idea that, you know, punish the fighter or the athlete to set an example?
Well, you know, you're right. You know what you're saying, right? But let's deal with that first of all. You know, he is Armenian. His parents are Armenian, and they fled Azerbaijan when the war was on. But as you see, when he fights, he always wears the Armenian flag. He always wears that every time he fights, and there's no doubt about where his loyalty is. Like, and he's a big Wigan football supporter. So that's it. But
he's going through enough already.
I read Thomas Hauser's piece that he did this week, and I thought it was a very, very good piece, and I think it encapsulated really the position. You know, it's unfortunate that some Russian boxers or athletes, and it certainly happened in the Olympic Games where they were disabled. They pulled a disabled team out in the Winter Olympics. Yet the Chinese asked that, you know, they didn't. I mean, I don't know how true it was. They didn't invade until after the Winter Games. And who knows what goes on between these countries. But the bottom line of all of it is, I think Tom's piece was really good. And it is a shame for boxers or sportsmen, but it's even the worst tragedy. At least they're alive. It's the worst tragedy that people are getting slaughtered in the Ukraine at the moment. I mean, it's dreadful what's going on there. You can't even contemplate it. You know, the position these people's, their homes, their possessions, and whatever they've got are being blown up. They, you know, they're becoming refugees. And you know, all they've got is what they're standing in. Their children can't go to school. It's just a dreadful situation. And I think any sane person would agree that, you know, and have sympathy. You know, Putin is a monster. That's the only way you can describe him. What he's doing is dreadful. You know, at the ring last week, we did the ring in yellow and blue at York Hall. We'll be doing the same thing this week in support of the people of Ukraine.
So would you support sanctions or preventing Russian fighters, at least while everything's going on, from having contests as a whole, or big contests in Bivol's case, of course?
Well, you know, Bivol lives in Russia. You know, I mean, look, I don't want to see it. The problem you've got with all these people, the Russian sportsmen, you can't ask them if they support what's going on, because they got families back in Russia. So that would jeopardize what's going on. And also, you know, the media in Russia is dreadful, in as much that it's kept from the average person what's going on. They feel they're on a mission to defeat Nazism in the Ukraine, which is obviously ridiculous and crazy. What's happening in Ukraine is bigger than sport. It's bigger than any sport. It's bigger than anybody. What is happening is the potential of escalating into something even more dreadful. If that's possible, it would be more dreadful. And it has that potential. And I think any sanctions against Russia are a good thing. I think because Russia at the moment, in what they're doing, is against anything. It's against anybody who lives in a civilized world. They are destabilizing the world. They're killing people. They're murdering people. And if the price to pay is sanctioning a boxer or a footballer, or, you know, Winter Olympians not participating, then unfortunately that's what it's got to be.
I appreciate your candor on that subject. Now, there's no easy segue to talk more about boxing, obviously, after something so serious. But the fight between Bivol and Canelo was due to be the first, if it still goes ahead, on DAZN pay-per-view. DAZN obviously came into the market, you know, talking about the death of pay-per-view and how they were kind of the solution to that as a subscription service. You always predicted they wouldn't be able to make a subscription service pay in the long term, particularly for the biggest fights. How do you feel about kind of being proved right?
Well, it's not, you know, look, we've been there. We've been in it. We did it with Box Nation. We know how the business works. I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen boxing evolve across all platforms, and, you know, how it's shown and broadcast. At the end of the day, how can you replace, and let's use Canelo, for example. How are you going to pay Canelo, you know, $35-40 million plus his opponent? And so say that stands you in $50 million. When at the time they were charging, was it $10 or $8 to watch it? How could that possibly work? That model never works. I never got it, never understood it, and I always felt it would never work. I don't want to see people, you know, fall over in boxing. I want to see boxing be a success across all platforms. But what their model obviously didn't work, because they're now, I mean, you know, to their CEO, he came out and said it. I mean, he said that they got it wrong, and you know, and they're having to change what they're doing with the pay-per-view. It's the only way it does work to pay these guys the type of money they want is pay-per-view. And the money they've spent in America, they may as well just flushed it down the toilet, because they've not built a single star. Matchroom have not built one single star in American boxing. All that money, all of it, and not produced a single fighter. You know, they got Canelo back on board. You know, he's a product of pay-per-view, from being on Showtime, being, you know, with Golden Boy. You know, that's why obviously they're doing business with him, because they need someone to bring in the subscribers or bring in the punters on pay-per-view. But he only fights twice a year.
Mm.
But in the meantime, they still got to come up with events to make that a viable proposition. They've lost a lot of money over the last 4 years. I think the last accounts, and everyone bangs on about our accounts, which, by the way, keeps showing profits for God knows how many years running. But they bang on about our accounts, and you look, it's factually, DAZN is the most unsuccessful startup financially of any business ever in the UK. Their last accounts, 2020, I think they put in another loss of 1.3 billion. You would got to think they lost more, at least the same last year. So it's huge money. And obviously the solution hasn't been Matrim because they haven't delivered for them. They just have not delivered the numbers required to make that business successful in the UK or in the States. Their flagship in the UK is boxing, and the same thing in the States, and it just has not worked whatsoever. I don't believe they got 20,000 subscribers in the UK.
You've commented previously and again today about the failure of DAZN and Matchroom Eddie Hearn to create a star out in the US. What have they done wrong? How should they have gone about creating new stars in that market?
Well, first thing you do is you need to promote the boxers instead of promoting the promoter. People don't subscribe or pay out for tickets to look at me or look at Eddie Hearn or any other promoter, Bob Arum. They pay to watch the product, and they've not delivered. They have not delivered it. You can dress it up any way you like, but you tell me, you're in the boxing business, you tell me an attraction they've built in the United States.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just asking what they should have done differently.
That is a fact. So they've taken Len Blabnik's money and basically pissed it away. That's what they've done. He's got nothing to show for it with his investment in Matchroom's boxing in the US. And I don't think they've got too much to show from what's happened in the UK either with them. They had in Anthony AJ, a really, really good, well-known fighter who won the Olympic medal in London. Everybody was after him, including ourselves. And he'd have been a bit of an idiot not to be able to promote him. And he's done extremely well for himself and obviously for British boxing. But other than that, there's no name that they've developed themselves, a big, big name that I can think of that's come in and grabbed the world's attention.
Conor Benn, to an extent?
I don't think he's grabbed the world. Who knows who he is in America? He's a good little fighter. He's not very difficult to promote off of being Nigel's son. And he is. I'm not saying he's not a bad fighter. I'm saying he's a decent fighter. Time will tell how good he is. But that's two fighters in how many years? Joseph, you think of Joshua Buatsi, he won a gold medal. Sorry, a gold medal. He won a bronze medal in the Olympic Games. Why hasn't he got a big profile? Let's be out there promoting these guys. Why hasn't he been promoted? I mean, we've done a magnificent job with Anthony Yarde. He had 11 fights before he turned pro. More people knew who he was than they know who Joshua is, who I like, by the way. I just don't think he's been promoted correctly at all. And look at Callum Smith, a really good quality fighter. Nobody knows what's happened with Callum Smith. He's disappeared off the radar. Why isn't he being promoted? There's quite a few of those guys. Where are they? And now they're all fighting on an app. So
what's the secret? What have you done that they haven't in terms of creating stars?
Well, we've done it in different, very, very difficult circumstances. Not with Len Blabnik's money, that's for sure. We've done it. We brought fighters through on Box Nation. We developed and brought really good quality fighters through. That's what it's about, is developing and promoting fighters. It ain't hard to promote AJ. That's not a difficult thing to do. The guy's come in as a gold medalist. You've got to be an idiot to be able to mess that up. Well, what have they done wrong? It seems like everything they've done wrong, because the proof is in the pudding. It's not about, it's about the fighters. That's who the public pay to see. That is the bottom line of all of it.
taking Anthony Yarde as an example, and we'll talk a bit more about him in a minute, but what have you guys done right with him? Why is he a bigger name than Buatsi, as you suggested?
I think because I made the right fights for him, promoted him properly, and built his profile. He's a very, very exciting fighter, very, very exciting fighter. And when the time came, we put him in a meaningful fight against Lyndon, but unfortunately, that was a good fight to watch. It didn't turn out how Anthony would like it to turn out, but the second fight showed you what he was all about. What he'd done with Kovalev. I mean, he went to bloody Russia, fought in the other guy's backyard, and had everybody in the stadium was applauding him. You know, he went out there and he could have won that fight. He was like seconds away from winning the world title, and learned from it. And it's basically it's getting out there and promoting it. We've done it with lots of fighters over the years. We've got lots of young fighters coming through who people know who they are. You know, I'll give you an example. Josh Warrington. When you look at Josh Warrington, when he came to us, you know, Matchroom said that he didn't deliver numbers, he couldn't sell, he wasn't, you know, they basically slagged him off. Came with us. We promoted him. We built him up big in his hometown. He got his world title in Leeds football ground. Big fight there, got him on there. We done brilliantly with it, built him up, and everybody knew who he was. We promoted him. We built him. We built him. When I say built him, we built his profile up from where it was. When he come with us, his profile, you know, nationwide was nowhere. And they said that themselves. I'm only quoting what they were saying. So we've done a good job. It's called promotion.
When Eddie Hearn Matchroom decided to move from Sky Sports in the UK to DAZN, one of the things he talked about was leveraging his own profile to help sell events and that kind of thing. I'm assuming from what you said earlier about the fighters rather than the promoters selling the fight, you disagree with that strategy.
Leveraging his promotion. What way
his
does
own
he
profile?
Fight? Well, his profile in what? I mean, I've seen him fight. I see him having that sparring match with that little fat geezer. I mean, you know, what profile? What planet is he on? What does he actually honestly believe people will buy a ticket because of he's involved in it? Does he actually honestly, truly believe that? You know, if he does, then, you know, that's up to him. That model, if it works, if what he's saying is true, it didn't work in America, that's for sure. If that's what he's saying is true, then let's see how many people subscribe to subscribing to his channel by the end of the year to the app. Let's see how many people are subscribed to it. The proof's in the pudding. Up to now, they ain't. We had more subscribers on Box Nation. We had more subscribers. He's not put an event on in the UK that's delivered more subscribers to DAZN than we did on Box Nation. That's a fact.
Let's move on. We talked about Anthony Yarde just then. Will he appear on the Fury Whyte undercard at Wembley?
We're announcing the undercard. We were trying to get it away last week and this week, but we will announce it on Monday. We will put, you know, it's a decent undercard. It's a good undercard.
You can't tell us if Yarde.
And I'm going to be on it. That should make more people watch it.
Very good. I tried to move on from that subject, but I should have known.
It's very difficult to move on from things like that because you listen to it and it's incredulous, isn't it? I mean, like, God, the ego. I was saying to somebody else earlier, if he was chocolate, he'd eat himself.
Anyway, Fury Whyte, a lot was made of Whyte's failure to appear at the launch press conference. Are there any more pre-fight media events that he would be expected to attend, or is it just?
Yeah, he's got media duties, and we expect him to attend them. And if he doesn't, then obviously we'll deal with that after the fight.
But there's no danger of the fight not going ahead as a result of any of this.
No. The fight will go ahead. We've sold all the tickets, and our job now is to deliver on pay-per-view. And I genuinely feel we'll do a minimum of 1.5 million buys in the UK.
Brilliant. Now, Anthony Joshua apparently may be looking for an interim opponent, with Alexander Usyk understandably taking some time away from boxing right now. What do you have in your stable that you'd like to pitch up against him? Joyce has been talked about. Daniel Dubois is another one. Would you like to see one of them step in and face him?
Yep. Yeah. I'd like to see Joe go in and fight him. Yeah, absolutely, I would.
How do you kind of see that going? Because Anthony Joshua was quite dismissive on social media about Joyce's chances.
I'm sure he will be dismissive, but yeah, I'm sure he will. That's, you know, he would say that, as you'd expect. But the fact of the matter is, it's a good fight. Do you like it as a fight? I like it as a fight.
Yeah,
I think it's a good fight. You know, I look at the both of them. I look at what their attributes are, and I look at their performances, and you know, I generally think that Joe has the beating of him. I think he's got a good chin. I think he takes the power away that AJ's got, and I think he's capable of knocking AJ out.
Joshua taking a fight like that, a risky fight, when he's got the Usyk rematch, you know, waiting in the wings. Would you cite that as another example of poor promotional decisions on his team's part?
Yeah, I mean, look, if they want to have a meeting, I've got no problem with that. Sit down and work that deal out. Do that anytime. Why wouldn't you do that? That's something I'd certainly like to see.
But from their point of view, do you think that would be a mistake on their part? Should he take an easy fight?
Me personally, I think it'd be a mistake. I think Joe beats him.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, obviously, there's options out there for him that would be a lot easier, but wouldn't necessarily sell as well. You know, Otto Vallin's been mentioned and a couple of others.
Well, I thought, if I remember rightly, when we was proposing Otto Wallin for Tyson Fury, we was told that was a total mismatch and it shouldn't happen, and he was crap. So what, they're going after Tyson's leftovers now?
Well, they already did in one sense, in that they tried to match him with Dillian Whyte until Whyte pulled out. So, yeah, I guess he proved himself against Tyson.
Well, he did. You know, Tyson got badly cut in that fight, and he did. You know, and I think, you know, weren't one of Tyson's better performances, but he did what he had to do and come through and won the fight. Once I think, you know, if it hadn't been for the cut, I think it would have certainly been a much easier job for Tyson, but he did what he had to do. AJ, I think they'd be what they looking for. If you was AJ, what you'd be looking for? You're looking for a non-puncher whose chin was made in Waterford.
Basically, yeah, and maybe a southpaw for as a bonus, you know. Yeah,
maybe that, you know, or a one-armed fighter.
I'm not sure. The board wouldn't sanction that, surely, although we'll talk about the board later. Zach Parker, obviously, you've won the purse bids. It's not really a surprise when you win purse bids anymore, is it? Let's be honest. But you won. It's
not that. We look. It's about promoting. Zach Parker's had great exposure on BT. You know, he came to us. I've not seen a lot of him, and he's been a revelation. I mean, you know, he is a good quality fighter, you know, very exceptional young man in the boxing field, and with the right promotion, I think he can be a massive star. Really, I really do believe that. And he's got a tough fight in Andrade. You know, Andrade. You know, more people have been watching him fight recently than have been watching Andrade on DAZN. That's for sure. So he's getting great exposure, and I think the fight is a good fight. It's a very, very tough fight for him. But I feel that he's a very big super middleweight, and Andrade's coming up, so he's got a couple of things I believe that are in his favour. Although, you know, for 1 minute, I'm not saying Andrade is a gone fighter. He obviously fancies the job, and he'll be over for the press conference in the next week or so. But it's a good fight. It's a good fight for the fans, and it's, you know, it's a good fight for boxing in this country.
Will it be at Pride Park?
We are working very hard to make that happen.
Yeah, because that would be an amazing event. The type of events you've become synonymous with, really, the kind of open air, local fight, a massive fan base, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's about, you know, building the fighter up and getting a following. You know, we do it with Ricky Hatton. You know, we've done it many fighters over the years. You know, getting them that exposure. I mean, when Tyson came back, we put him on in
Manchester,
in Belfast, in the open air show in Manchester. We didn't go pay-per-view with him. We put him out so they could see him on regular BT. it was about getting him back in the swing again, seeing the people see that he was back. And for me, that's what I feel promotion is about. It's about, making those openings and so forth. That's what it is. That's about showing, building a following up with fighters, and certainly with Zach. I believe that the start of it will be Derby Football Club, the supporters getting behind their man. They've had a tough time in the football with the points deducted and so forth, but he's a winner. He's a winner, and I think they'll get behind him.
Now, just before I let you go, I do want to talk to you a little bit about the officiating in this country, and particularly the judging. As we've seen recently, I suppose most recently or most famously in the last few months, the Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall decision. Spoke to boxer Ben Shalom yesterday. They're talking about putting a package of proposals together to present to the board and see if they'd accept some of them using technology to help, for example, having someone watching in a monitor, maybe using punch stats, a lot of different things. But what do you kind of diagnose as the main issue with the judging recently? How would you go about it?
I just see it's bad judging. That's what it is. It was just bad judging. You want good judging, you make judges accountable. You don't just let them go on and then go on to the next fight. You make them accountable, like they do in football. I said this, I'm boring, everybody keeps saying it. And the board have done that. With Ian John Lewis, they've downgraded him now. And he's got to work his way back. He's got to put in good performances as a judge to get himself back, if he can get himself back, to an A-star refereeing. That's what you do. I don't agree with all this technology stuff, because boxing is a flowing sport. What, are you going to stop it like you have VAR? Yeah. Stop the action and check it and see if this punch was low. And it ain't going to happen. Boxing's a unique sport, and all it needs is competent officials who are accountable, and their performances are reviewed regularly. That's all you need. There's some very competent officials. I mean, what I don't want to get bogged down with is saying that all results are crap. You get a high profile, you get a crap result. Every now and then you get a bad result, and I seriously feel for Jack Catterall in that fight. But we see it not just here, we also see it happen in Vegas. And I don't like this situation as well, where in Vegas and the board, where they appoint officials for world title fights. I think I don't agree with that, and I've applied to the board and told them that I want neutral officials for. When I say neutral officials, I want overseas officials for Tyson's fight.
And will that be the same for other fights going forward? Obviously, this is a hugely important one.
Well, I think this is important, but I think we've got to look at it. We have to. Our sports credibility depends on this. I mean, you get people jumping on the bandwagon, and I know that Jack's is from the Speaker of the House's constituency, and I mean, for him to write to the police, I think is well over the top. There's no corruption. At worst, it's incompetence. That's how I see it. It's not corruption. Corruption's like money changing hands. It's a bent thing, and that is absolutely not the case. And there's no need for any police investigation. How hard done by Jack feels, that it was incompetence. That's what it was. Whatever way you want to look at it, one of those cards was dreadful. I thought he won the fight. Said that. I thought he won it by a couple of rounds, and that's it. He's lost out now. He's probably never going to get a chance again to fight for 4 belts, be a unanimous champion, because Josh, who wasn't his fault what happened there, he behaved impeccably. The stuff that's been online aimed at him is outrageous, and it's wrong. If you want to get the police involved, get them involved in trolling. That's what they should be bloody doing. But I think, if he's going up in a weight, Jack's lost that opportunity now. So somehow, you get yourself back in. Jack's a very, very good fighter, as he showed on the night, and I'm quite sure he's going to be fighting for a world title fairly soon, and hopefully he'll win one. Great stuff. Frank, always a pleasure, always insightful. I'll see you at the press conference on Thursday. I'll see you when I'm looking at you. Cheers, Frank. Take care. All right, Dan. Cheers, mate. Bye.